Goodies for the people of Tobago. No more water scheduling for some southern communities. And there's now a Sugar and Heritage Museum. We'll tell you what's happening in a community near you coming up after the news on this week's Pillars of Progress. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Progress. I'm Anne-Marie Ganese. Let's take a look at the headlines. The wait is over. The people of Tobago now have access to e-service. Changing the face of the prison and an end to years of uncertainty. Residents of Oropoon Village now have the resources to plan ahead. For parents in the Sister Isle who've had to make numerous trips, the end is near. The electronic registration of national certificates is now available there. Trinidad has had access to this service for some time now, but Tobagonians still had to use the old system. That is, the manual registration of births, which took several months and in some instances, several trips to complete the transaction. The hassle and the wait is over. Let's join Latoya Johnson to find out what has changed.
It's an electronic service provided by the Ministry of Legal Affairs to help limit the time spent during registration processes.
Another key element of this electronic system is that it will eliminate errors of spelling and of fact by giving the parents an opportunity to review the data entered and to make changes to that.
In several instances, information might have been misplaced or difficult to locate due to the processing of data to paper. Now, what would have essentially taken a couple months could now happen in a day or two.
We are taking the next giant step forward in the use of technology to make service delivery easier within the public sector. Such electronic services, facilitating faster processing, etc., can be used to link services across previously far distances.
Also launched was the electronic death certificate.
In expanding the electronic registration of births, we have not been unmindful of the added trauma which our citizens ensure when they try to obtain death certificates after a loved one has passed. It is for this reason that today's expansion of e-registration of births is being done simultaneously with the launch of e-registration of deaths, because you need both certificates from the civil registry.
The new building for the employees of the registration department of the Legal Affairs was also launched with the first registration of a newborn baby. The electronic launch is also part of the beginning of an electronic vision by the People's Partnership to soon develop all national items or marriage certificates online. Latoya Johnson for Pillars of Progress.
Across in Trinidad, thousands of residents in southern communities also now have something to celebrate. For them, it was the end of the days of water scheduling. No more planning their lives and routines around the availability of potable water at very specific times. John Victor explains why.
An all too familiar sight for thousands of residents in communities in South Trinidad, it meant water shortages. That is set to change.
This new trunk main, which is designed to transmit approximately 20 million gallons of water, will benefit approximately 295,000 customers in the southern area. These areas are Rio Claro, Tabaquite, Piparo, Princestown, Tableland, Sisters Road, St. Julian, New Grant, St. Madeleine, Bonitento, Margaretwood, St. Clements, Golconda, San Fernando, Gasparillo, and Pinal Barco.
This large catchment area represents 25% of WASA's customer base that will now no longer depend on a scheduling program to receive a potable water supply.
It is a story about management, about making a rigid organization flexible to achieve its goals. It is a story about the human spirit, where the sons and daughters of slaves and indentures can rise to the occasion and successfully complete a project done previously by the colonial administration. It is an intriguing story, and for those who participated in it, the experience has been priceless.
Public Utilities Minister Emmanuel George says the NAVET project is just one in a series of initiatives being undertaken by WASA to improve the reliability of supply throughout the country.
I want to assure all of the persons gathered here today and the wider community of Trinidad and Tobago that the Ministry of Public Utilities through WASA will continue to work tirelessly to improve the water supply to all of the communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago until people are provided with a standard of service which they deserve.
The improvement works, in keeping with government's one-year agenda plans, are expected to cost some $1.3 billion. John Victor for Pillars of Progress.
But the people of Oropoon Village aren't to be left out. They had been waiting for the completion of what's known as the first phase of the claims settlement process by the Airports Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. These residents now have the chance to move forward with the planning of their lives. To explain what any of this means, let's join Sherilyn Lewis.
An opportunity to get a new start. These checks will provide residents of Oropoon Village with much-needed cash to begin a new life. Before today, they lived in deplorable and less than humane conditions. But all that's about to change for these 47 citizens whose dream of home ownership is about to become a reality.
Something that has united our people for 20 years. This is not just a check handing out ceremony. It is a commitment that we made during an election campaign.
It's a chance for these residents to start over despite the fact they'll no longer be occupying state lands. But they were not left to fend for themselves. They now have this cash incentive from the government.
This morning marks a realization of that promise. The first payments to some 40 of you, 37 of you, before May 24. My dear friends, today's ceremony marks the beginning of the end.
The Minister of Works says the time had come to put an end to their misery.
The beginning of the end of all the pain and suffering you have gone through for the last 25 years.
The idea of owning a home, a place to call one's own, is nothing more than an idea for many. But today, these residents got a change in their fortune. I'm Sherilyn Lewis for Pillars of Progress.
In Port of Spain, Sealot's residents got a visit from the Direct Effect team. The group implements a program designed to raise the standards of living of citizens, as well as offer those who may not know a chance to access government services. Details from John Victor.
This community's hardships are no longer being ignored. The ministry has come up with a plan that will change their fortunes.
Do it from the perspective that food, clothing, shelter. And we start off with this, ensure that each person has enough food to eat, because if they need the help, they can get that help from the ministry. And then we go to shelter. And shelter, if there's leakage in the roof and if the parts of the building are broken down, there's a woman with 12 children we met here today. And I asked her how many rooms she has, and she has one room. Definitely somebody like that needs the assistance to try and expand the home or ensure that the home is more stable and proper. So those are the kind of interventions.
But for this community bordering the seafront, there are other unique challenges such as drainage.
Definitely any area close to the sea and low-lying, we will have some problem with drainage, and some of these drains are not being cleared properly, and there's serious health risk. And we need to respond to that and flush out some of these drains and get, you could see the high microbial content, you could see the contamination, the pollution in some of the drains, and I think that can lead to other health risk in the community. That is an immediate need that we saw.
And the ministry's outreach is all about empowering people.
And then people can help themselves by getting into small businesses, retraining, going back to school, and getting a better job so that they can go through an empowerment phase in their life.
And it seems the minister's visit found favor with some residents.
It's a good feeling. But you know how it has been in these areas, you know how it has been, but it's a good feeling. We see a good minister pass through, trying to assist and support and so forth. But you know the people need help more than they need. So you would like him to come again and put his best foot forward, because we need drains to fix. We have houses, we have people who, you know what I mean? We need roads, we need works.
I felt proud to know that at least somebody could pass in here and see the conditions that people are living in. The youths down here, we don't want no TT card or anything like that. Take the youths, teach them a trade, so in the future they'll be able to feed themselves.
John Victor for Pillars of Progress.
We're taking a break, but do stay with us. On the other side, out with the old. Crown Point International, a name of the past.
We are reporting from communities across the country. People are calling Nallis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nallis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently able. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nallis website.
Nallis is my library.
Jenny?
Girl, how you going?
I am fine. Just here anymore doing some shopping with my guilt-free money.
Guilt-free money?
Yes, Jenny, you know Board of Inland Revenue have a tax amnesty on now?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Tell me how that works.
It's easy. All you have to do is just pay all your outstanding taxes leading up to the year 2009, and all interest and penalties will be waived.
But wait, there must be a catch.
No, girl, it didn't have no catch. All you have to do is pay all your outstanding balances by May 31st of this year, and you're good to go.
That's sounding good. But wait, if I can't remember what years may be outstanding, how I will deal with it?
You just go down to Board of Inland Revenue and they'll assist you with everything.
Well, girl, thanks for the info. Now I too can shop with some guilt-free money.
The Board of Inland Revenue advises that an amnesty is in effect from September 8th, 2010 to May 31st, 2011. Be wise. Take advantage of this opportunity. Inland Revenue Division, changing the way we interact with you.
Thanks for staying with us. You're viewing Pillars of Progress. Well, let's tell you about a major change, a name change to be exact, that took place across in Tobago. The Sister Isles International Airport is now known as the ANR Robinson Airport. Here's another look at the unveiling of the new sign, a literal and figurative transition from a name this country had inherited, replacing it with one which honors a son of the soil. Latoya Johnson has more.
This place will now bear the name of a son of the soil. For Tobagonians, it was a proud moment, but the occasion transcends the Sister Isle. To quote the Prime Minister, the time had come to localize it.
The ceremony at this moment will always recreate over and over again a time of very vital significance, especially for children of Trinidad and Tobago, generally for national community, but of greater importance would be the very meaningful legacy this would have successfully etched into the annals of our national history and regional history.
Today's renaming of the airport was a collaborative effort between the governments and the Tobago House of Assembly.
The renaming of this airport from Crown Point to the ANR Robinson International Airport seems to be consistent with both a regional and international tradition of naming places of excellence after great ones who have walked and sat amongst us. You know, Jamaica boasts of the Norman Manley International Airport. Barbados swells with pride over their Grantley Adams Airport. The Chedijagan International Airport gives to Guyana a memory of their own identity. Today we are in a celebrant mood because the name of our ANR Robinson will now be heralded across the global landscape in even a richer vein than some of his, not most of his, illustrious Caribbean colleagues.
And with this, what was formerly known as the Crown Point International Airport was renamed. The man in whose honor it was done says he's humbled by the gesture.
This is but
important to the people of Tobago, especially at this stage of their development. And I would like to say thanks, express my gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persaud-Sissoco, for the expression of the aspirations of the people of Tobago that she has demonstrated in this forceful manner on this occasion.
Natoya Johnson for Pillars of Progress.
And here's a look at another initiative that will raise this country's profile on the world's stage. It's a professional training program for international officers. It will see the Ministry of Foreign Affairs working along with the Institute of International Relations at the University of the West Indies. Zomari Tanka has more.
We're living in dynamic times when the international landscape is changing at a pace many find difficult to keep up with. This new global village is interesting and challenging, and new trends in technology and communication continue to open doors. With these changes in mind, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs wants to ensure that new diplomats are not left behind. The Ministry and the Institute of International Relations at the University of the West Indies have teamed up with the aim of developing what they describe as a global mindset for new diplomats. Campus Principal Clement Sanka believes this is a very important initiative of Trinidad and Tobago.
It is widely known that while developed countries have several instruments on which to draw upon in their relations with other countries and international organizations, we in the Caribbean have to find ways to maneuver in today's harsh competitive environment. In this context, diplomacy is really the only instrument we have to advance our cause in the international community. As a result of this reality, we must continuously endeavor to strengthen our diplomatic capacity. And as principal of the UWI St. Augustine campus, I truly believe that our campus, with a wealth of experienced academics, and let me say not only in the IIR, but across our various faculties, and we do have 5 faculties with a 6th, a faculty of law in the making, practitioners and professionals right here within our Institute of International Relations, that we have a very critical role to play in advancing this agenda. And I would urge our director of the Institute of International Relations to draw upon the depth and breadth of the entire campus, and let me see the entire university. When we speak of St. Augustine, we're just one part of a large regional university with 4 campuses.
So what is on the agenda for participants? Public diplomacy, the promotion of Trinidad and Tobago's national interest, and the practice of international relations. The ministry believes that the program is one step further in moving towards developing a highly competent and focused cadre of diplomats who will actively promote the interests of Trinidad and Tobago abroad. Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Suruj Ratan Rambachan says he's personally excited because he knows the value of training people.
The relevance of the institution, of any institution, and its sustainability is a function of its responsiveness to client-customer needs. And this is part of what we are seeing here today. Let me be the first to say, again, that the IIR and Professor Shaw have been not only responsive, but have kept a very open mind. They have been prepared to engage in intelligent discourse, bridging the world of active diplomacy and the practice of foreign affairs with the institution's capacity for targeted research and rational thinking.
Professor Sanka says he's really pleased this is a team effort.
I have often said that when the university and its academics can team up with those in the private and public sector to develop programs of study, we can build the kind of relevance and impact that we're all both trying to achieve.
We want to take you across to the education sector, where 3 tertiary institutions have been awarded the status of institutional accreditation. Said another way, this means they have the facilities, resources and management that meet international standards. For details, let's join Lindian Mars.
I would really like to congratulate these 3 institutions, especially since they are the first 3 institutions to achieve accredited status, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but also in the Caribbean. And people might say, well, you know, the medical comparison, but these are parts of institutions that were accredited. This institutional accreditation is bestowed upon the entire institution, including all its schools and faculties.
What accreditation does is give credence to these institutions. Being accredited also brings respect to local institutions at a global level.
These achievements demonstrate that not only our institutions of higher learning can match the quality expected of higher education institutions around the world, but that the accreditation status will ensure international recognition of our graduates as they seek further opportunities in a globalized economy.
Students are assured of quality tuition that is always relevant and at par with global standards.
Attaining institutional accreditation status signifies that the institution's facilities, resources, and quality management system, and I want to stress quality management system, are on par with or has surpassed the minimum internationally accepted standards.
The process is rigorous, but the end result is that everyone benefits.
The ACTT stamp of approval, which our institutions have earned, is in support of the government's framework for sustainable development, a primary one being their role in aiding the government in its quest to achieve a 60% participation rate within the post-secondary sector by building confidence in our institutions within the public domain. While we recognize our achievements, I implore you to continue to improve our higher education sector and to rival its leaders. These are some of the things we must keep in mind if we are to improve and excel and go beyond. We must more effectively develop our teaching and research agenda in line with our economic goals and alignment with the demands of employers.
These changes ensure the improvement of quality of education offered.
Access to programs and scholarships becoming more readily facilitated. The transfer of students and credits between institutions regionally and internationally is made easier. Student performance is enhanced as a result of quality programs. Graduates from accredited institutions qualify more readily for selected jobs.
UWI, UTT and COSTA today signed the General Conditions of Institutional Accreditation, which will be valid for 7 years, due to it being their first time receiving accreditation. Lindian Mars for Pillars of Progress.
It will be the go-to place for historical pieces and archival materials on all things related to this country's sugar industry. It's a new facility to be known as the Sugar Heritage Village and Museum. For a taste of what to expect, Sherilyn Lewis gives us a sneak preview.
These fields no longer hold a place of prominence in our economy. From the days of being King Sugar, very little happens in the sugarcane industry today. It's now a defunct sector, but it still matters to those who feel connected in some way to this industry. Families, like that of the Minister in the Ministry of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprises, Rudy Indar Singh.
As you might be aware, for many years, the Minister also represented sugarcane farmers. So the launch of the Sugar Heritage Village and Museum is a very personal experience for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is unfolding here today is important for me personally, with a strong sense of nostalgia and emotion for a number of reasons. Firstly, I am the son of a sugar worker who toiled for 47 years in Caroni 1975 Limited.
For him, this launch of this museum means more than the preservation of history. It's a way of improving the lives of citizens. It's also a promise kept.
If you could throw back your memories to some months ago when the first budget presentation was delivered by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Winston Ducaran, he announced in relation to the tourism sector the establishment of a Sugar Heritage Village and Museum at Sevilla House. And if we are to go deeper, this initiative is consistent with the broader objective for the tourism sector as was set out in the manifesto.
Many in the sugar industry will be happy with this. For years, they've complained of being unsung heroes, but the establishment of this museum hopefully changes this.
The vision for the execution of this initiative on the part of yourself, the Cabinet and the government must be seen as a fitting tribute to all those whose blood, sweat and tears fell on the lands of the cane fields in relation to our historical evolution. The reality is that the diversity of Trinidad and Tobago and the coming together of so many cultures and peoples to form this great nation is a direct result of the sugar industry.
The sugar industry in Trinidad dates back to the 18th century with a plantation system of production. To date, there are only a few indented laborers that are still alive. Sherilyn Lewis for Pillars of Progress.
It's a fairly new concept here in Trinidad and Tobago, that of sports tourism. It hasn't really been done in this country up until now. But as John Victor tells us, the idea is about to become a reality, starting with the establishment of a national tennis center.
Going the distance for sport development in Trinidad and Tobago. Construction will cost $140 million, but the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs feels it's money well spent that will aid sports tourism and ultimately help with the diversification of the economy.
Tennis is one of the sporting disciplines that require clinical and systematic development if we are to produce players at a world-class level. We are blessed in this country with a preponderance of talent, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is being manifested among our young people here today. As we seek to expand and develop our sport plant, this facility will provide the necessary impetus to take this sport to the level that's required to produce world-class players.
As the minister sees it, the work of sport and youth development is all about building capacity, creating opportunities and fulfilling dreams.
The National Tennis Center is one step in the direction towards the provision of sound infrastructure to increase the levels of participation, enhancement of the training capacity of our elite athletes, and improvement in Trinidad and Tobago's ability to host major international competitions, thereby promoting the sport tourism product. We eagerly anticipate witnessing a WTA game or competition between the two women tennis players in the world, such as Venus or Serena Williams, Wozniacki, and the like, being played right here in Trinidad and Tobago. It could happen, it would happen, it should happen. But it's not a dream that can be realized without the commitment and dedication of all the partners involved.
The facility, which will be built to international standards, is one of 3 major projects planned by the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs. Construction is set to begin later this year. John Victor for the Pillars of Progress.
And that's all we have time for. I'm Anne-Marie Ganesh, inviting you to join me again as we continue our look at the government's work. This has been Pillars of Progress. On behalf of all of us at the Government Information Services Limited, goodbye.